If you're serious about growing a business on YouTube and you don't have a clear proven plan of action that can actually get you to $100,000 a month, it's very likely you're going to end up like most businesses who focus on all of the wrong things that will never actually make them money. So in this video, I'm going to give you the exact system I use to get to $100,000 a month on YouTube in just under 3 years, without any ads, without any social media, or without building a big team. Now, as this video goes on, the information is going to get more and more valuable. And for those of you already on $25,000 a month, this could be all you need to 4x over the coming year. All right, so to start, who is this strategy going to work with? Well, it doesn't work for entertainment channels or review channels or any channels that don't solve a problem. But if your channel solves a problem for a specific person, it can. So here, for example, we have a presenting channel that went from a 37K launch to a 100K launch in just a few months. This is a channel helping people make money online, doing $70,000 a month. This is a marketing channel making 30K from just one video. And this can work for loads of different niches. Okay, so if you want to earn big money, the first thing we need to look at is making sure you're not wasting your time on strategies that can't actually get you to that $100,000 a month figure. Now, I believe that means businesses should ignore affiliate, they should ignore sponsorship, they should ignore ad revenue as a long-term source of income. And don't get me wrong, these things are great if you want some short-term passive side cash, but in the long run, they can be dangerous because they can turn off at any time and they can leave you screwed, as well as kind of distract you from developing your own offer and the right following to build that off. Now, the next trap to avoid is selling cheap on-demand courses. So let me show you the problem with this using a calculator I've built. So if you sell a course at $149, even if you're an expert, you need millions of views every month to hit 6 figures. And most businesses, they're in niches that aren't actually capable of hitting those kind of view numbers. But if we change this $149 to $10,000, look at that. You could potentially make that from 400,000 views a month, or even if you're experienced and good at marketing, 50. And this is why you see small channels making hundreds of thousands of dollars, because they've nailed the offer and the marketing and they sell something high ticket. But I can hear you going, hang on a second, Ed, $10,000. That is insane. And I know it is, but we have clients charging $20,000 for a photography offer. I have someone who has a music production offer charging $30,000. But what you need to realize is you don't just start charging crazy money like this. You have to kind of earn it over the long term, but that is exactly what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. Now, if you want to play with that calculator, you're welcome to. I left the link to it below. All the data in it is based on what we've discovered tracking sales from over 500 million views with my software RevTrack. So it's pretty accurate. All right. So now you know the traps to avoid. Let's zoom out and let's have a look at the bigger picture of how this entire system I'm going to show you gets businesses to 100K a month. I think the best way to picture how this works is that your business is like a boat that goes through 3 phases. Now, the dinghy stage is phase 1 of your journey, where you're trying to get from 0 to $10,000 a month. And this bit flipping sucks because you don't know what you're doing yet. You are dabbling with YouTube. You've maybe decided to start a podcast, a bit of Instagram, and you're trying everything because you don't know what will work and you're hoping one thing will stick and change your life. The truth is that won't work because you spread yourself so thin. So as a result, most people's boat in this phase looks like this. They are floating on driftwood, tied together, sinking in a storm. But what I'm going to show you how to do is turn that into a little dinghy, a boat that can actually carry you and a handful of clients to 10K a month. Now, phase 2 is all about making the ride nice and smooth for your clients by upgrading your boat to a tugboat, something bigger that can carry more people without creating chaos and making it sink. And then in phase 3, we scale from $25,000 to $100,000 a month by turning your tugboat into a yacht. And this is where most people completely screw it up because they think growing a business is all about jamming more and more people onto their boat. So they market harder, they push capacity, and they're all trying to get as many leads as possible. And suddenly their boat is overloaded, their service drops, complaints fly in, refunds pile up, the founder burns out, and boom, they sink. And I can't tell you how many people fail here, when really, if you stick to what I'm going to show you, this is kind of easy, because all we're going to do is say, screw getting as many people onto this boat as possible. Let's work with fewer people who are the perfect fit for our boat party. And then let's make everyone else who's the perfect fit queue up and wait to get on instead. Which sounds a lot better than sinking, right? But how do you do that? Well, let me introduce you to the thing that powers every single phase of your journey. And I call this the success wheel. And it's so flippin' simple. So the first part of it is all you need to do is get traffic. And by traffic, I don't mean like random views. I mean someone actually clicking the link under your video and then landing on your sales page who's the right fit for your offer. And your offer is the second stage of the wheel. Then what we need to do is move them to the third stage. This is known as conversion. And basically that's when someone goes from seeing your offer to becoming a client. And then once they're a client, your job is really simple. Look after them as well as you possibly can so they get a result of some kind. Because when they win, they give you testimonials. You get case studies. You get success stories, which is the whole point of the fourth stage of this wheel. And that's when the whole thing compounds and your business will explode, because you take those wins and you show them off in your videos, which drives more traffic to your sales page. But you've also got more wins on your sales page, which drives more conversion. And then because you're working with more people and looking after them, you get more results, which you then feed back into your videos, which then drives more traffic to your offer, which then converts more, which gets you more results. And this will speed up faster and faster and faster. And that is what will earn you so much more and create a queue and enable you to get to the golden milestone of charging $10,000 for something. But this is the mistake most people make. They think that the engine that drives all of this is more traffic, more views, but it's not. The real engine is this part, results. Because when your product is built for the right people and you look after them so well that they win, simply showing that off means you win even more. So now you've got that basic understanding of how this system works. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to go deeper into each phase so you know exactly where to focus to level up faster. Let's start with phase one. All right, so the goal of phase one is pretty simple. Build a boat that can carry a small group of clients. And remember, this phase sucks. But if you get it right, it sets you up for success almost instantly in phase two. So we got to fix the first part of your success wheel, and that is traffic. And traffic just means getting views we can then drive to your offer. Now, most people in phase one, to get traffic from YouTube, stress about all of the wrong things like perfect lighting, fancy edits, and then they copy the biggest creators far too much when really that's not how you generate a following on YouTube. To actually generate views and build a following, there are three foundational elements that the top personal brands in the world, they harness all of the time. And without these things, they would not have become so successful. And this applies to anyone, no matter what phase they're in. So the first of these things is what I call becoming a likable character. And it works like this. So years ago, I was listening to a podcast, and the guy on it was telling this story about a time he went out and got really drunk. And I found it hilarious. So I turned to my friend and I said, "Who is this? They're flipping brilliant." And they said, "This is James Smith, who is this guy." Now, if you don't know who James is, he's got millions of followers across multiple platforms, tens of millions in online sales. He even owns a drink company worth over 20 million. But what got that reaction from me wasn't editing or hacks. It was just the fact that he was himself and just told stories that, to me, made him instantly likable. And if you scroll through his comments below his videos, you're going to see he has like this army of just devout, hardcore fans who have followed him for years because they just like the way he talks too. Putting it simply, James has built his career off of being himself. Now, I know be yourself on camera is the worst, most broad, useless advice anyone has ever said online. But the problem I see working with hundreds of businesses is that when people come to YouTube, they often seem to think they need to act like Hormozy, who's all serious, or Mr. Beast, who's all shouty. But if you're not like that in real life, you just come across as awkward. And it basically means you act, and acting, if you're not any good at it, will make you feel phony and scammy, and that does not make you a very likable character. So if you're just naturally playful and silly, crack some jokes. It will attract people like you. If you're serious, just be serious. This is going to become 10 times more important as more AI content floods the platform too. So although it's lame advice, it's critical, and you'll understand how critical this is the further the video goes on. And that brings us on to the second thing you need to generate traffic. And this is the one that kind of scares everyone, apart from the most successful people, because they know how powerful it is that they intentionally use it. So to give you an example of how this works, James invited me on his podcast once, and a friend of mine saw it. He said, "No way, I can't believe you on James Smith's podcast. I hate that guy. He reminds me of all the kids at school I didn't like." And I laughed, because to me, James reminds me of the people at school I did like. And that's what makes him successful, because he has a lot of haters, but he also has equally as many lovers. It sounds weird, he's married, but you get the idea. And if you look at the trend across the most successful personal brands, it's always the same. Iman Gadzhi. Half the internet loves him, half the internet hates him. And it's the same with Andrew Tate. He obviously pushes it to extremes. And then here's the thing you need to understand. Even Ali Abdaal, who comes across as like the nicest, softest spoken guy in the world, right? Well, if you ask enough people, you'll probably find 50% of him go, "I love that guy," and the other half go, "I can't really stand him." So what you need to understand is, you are always going to be disliked and hated. So you might as well lean into it, because when people hate you, it makes the people who love you bond with you even more. And that is how you create fans. And those are the people who are going to get you to 100K a month. And without this, it doesn't work. And that brings us on to the third thing. And this is the one that's going to cause people to love and hate you. And you're going to notice it absolutely everywhere now I point it out, because all of the biggest personal brands in the world are just doing this so intentionally, often in every piece of content they make. And it's called having an enemy. So James Smith, he nailed this. And it's one of the reasons he blew up so fast, because he made the BS of the fitness industry his enemy, where he tore apart fad diets and like bogus supplements and tons of like influencer nonsense. Iman Gadzhi, if you watch his videos, he makes the education system his enemy. He's constantly telling his young viewers, the school is broken, it doesn't work, it's going to keep you poor. Then we've got Dan Koh. His enemy is the 9-to-5 job. And Ramit Sethi, he made buying a house his enemy. And just go and look at the comments below his video on it. It is 50-50 love-hate. Even Mr. Beast, who doesn't say it outright, but through his actions, he's made low-effort content his enemy. And me, I made social media, short-form content my enemy. I say it sucks, and you don't need it, because I believe that. And what happens is when I say that, the people who believe it too side with me, and we bond. And this is the piece so many people are missing, because they think YouTube is all about being liked. It's not. It's just as important to be hated. Now, the cool thing is to harness what is ultimately one of the most powerful tools you have at your disposal. You don't need expensive cameras or a studio or fancy editing. You can literally just sit in front of a camera, talk and grow. And this is why low effort content does so well, because you'll often find they have an enemy. These three things also make sales so much easier, because the people who love you build trust faster, and that's what's going to get them over the line. So have a think. What can you pick to make your enemy? And just let the world know about it. Don't be afraid. And that brings us on to the offer part of the wheel in phase one. And all we're going to do here is we're going to build a dinghy capable of getting 5 people big results, so we can then feed those results back into our love-hate content and get your wheel spinning. But we are not going to make digital downloads or on-demand products. Why? Well, they do serve a purpose, but in this case, they're not going to give you the engine that powers everything else, results. Mainly because 95% of people who buy them never complete them. And that's data from Harvard. So it means you will struggle to pick up the results and testimonials and proof you need fast enough. So what we need to do at this stage is to forget the whole passive income thing that you've been sold, because it's never going to help you hit 100K. And we need to start talking to people. We need to start working with people. We need to deliver value, record the conversations we have. We need to click screenshots of the wins we get them, so we can use them as results to get you results. So how do you do it? Well, it's pretty simple. Set up a calendar with one-to-one booking slots, build a basic sales page, embed it on it so that we can track the amount of people who visit that sales page, and then just put the link under your videos. Now, one critical thing to add here is when someone books in a call, it is critical you put one question on the form that simply says, what are the top 3 problems you have right now? Now, don't worry about why. I'm going to make that clear in phase 3, but do not ignore that. Now, let's get real. I am not saying that doing this is going to change your world overnight. It's very likely you will get absolutely no bookings for a long time until people love you. But as your channel grows, the people who do love you for standing for something, they'll start booking in paid calls, and that will give us our first results to harness. The other option is to start with a free call, which some people do, but for our long-term goal, what we really want to do is in phase 1, get to 25 calls a month booked, around $200 each, and that'll make you $5,000. Then you want to upsell 5 of those people onto a $1,000 a month retainer for ongoing work, and that'll make you your next 5K. And that's it. That is your first $10,000 a month. Congratulations, that is a massive achievement. Now, for these retainer people, you're going to say, let's work together for a minimum of 3 months. And over this period, what you're going to do is you're going to come up with some kind of program that takes them from where they are now to the result they want that you are qualified in helping them get. And then each week, you're just going to do a one-to-one call with them where you take them through each step of this system you've come up with. Now, this system is probably going to suck as you don't have a clue what you're doing yet, but do not panic. Firstly, if you become a likable person, people won't be upset if your system and your experience is a little bit rusty to start. And this is why the likable thing is so important. But also, just keep in mind that once you've met more and more people, like anything with practice, you get better. So really what matters in phase 1, more than anything else, is learning about what your dream buyers care about the most and starting to work on a simple system to get them a result. And that's what these calls will give you. Now, there is one more thing that you need to start doing at this stage, but don't bother doing it until you're getting like 500 views a video, let's say. And that is, you have to start building an email list. Why? Well, let's say you're working with 5 clients on retainer, that's 4, and one drops off. You just email your list and you say, I've got 1 space open. And that scarcity will fill your slot quickly. Oh man. And that scarcity will fill your calendar quickly. But more importantly, it makes it look like there's a queue forming to get on your dinghy too. Because when you say I have 1 space, well, you look in demand, right? And that urgency creates FOMO, and FOMO creates sales. Okay, so that is phase 1 complete. Now we're going to move into phase 2, where we're going to just upgrade your dinghy and turn it into a tugboat like this. And that's going to pull your income from 10K a month to 25K a month using the same success wheel. But this time we make a very slight change. So ideally in phase 2, you've got 3,000 to 5,000 people on your email list now, and your videos are pulling in a few thousand views each time, and you're starting to be known as the person who solves a specific problem, and you're known for hating whatever the heck your enemy is. And the result of this will be you have fans and hopefully some haters too, like this guy who left this comment on my video. Thank you. I'm glad you don't like me. Okay, so what you do now is you take all of those surveys that I asked you to get filled out in phase 1 from the people who booked the calls with you, and you look at the top repeating problems in them, as well as think about all of the work you did with those one-to-one clients. The idea here is you then come up with a program to fix them. And because in phase 1 you were already developing this and will have learned a heck of a lot about your dream buyers, you just come out with a new offer that is going to be positioned as the solution to those top 3 problems from your survey. But you don't go making tons of on-demand videos and spend a year building a course. You are basically going to do what you did on a one-to-one level, but with 5 people at the same time. So every week you do a live call with them, and at the end of 8 to 10 weeks, they have a specific sort of result. The other thing you want to bolt onto this is some kind of community platform where they can ask questions throughout the week, and more importantly, share their wins with you. This is absolutely critical. Do not go, I don't want a community, it's too much work. The wins people share in the community are the most important part of getting you to $100,000 a month. So do not be lazy. Also, if you really don't like your clients enough to want to talk to them at least once a day, why are you doing this? Then all you do is you knock up a simple video that promotes this, and you put it on a sales page with a ton of the testimonials that you got in phase 1 that show you are legit, and then you can send 1 email to your entire email list saying, I've got 5 spaces. Is $2,000 each. And because you've built trust and a list of fans being likable, you will sell it out pretty fast. Boom. That is 10K right there. Now, I did this for years, and I managed to sell an offer at $5,000 just emailing my list with no sales call, and I was selling 40 spaces at a time doing it. But I still put the main reason that happened down to the fact that I focused so much on becoming a likable character who was also hated in my YouTube videos. Okay, so then what you do is you run your program, but at the same time, you keep those one-to-one calls coming in from posting videos and sending out emails to your list. But you put the price up. because your demand is rising and your time is limited. So now maybe the one-to-one calls are $350 each. And let's say you're booking 25 a month still. That's another $8,750. So when you put those two things together, we're pushing $19,000 in a single month with the same amount of work you were doing in phase one. Actually, no, it's less, because in phase one, you were working with 5 clients on separate things, on separate calls. Now you're working with 5 clients on one. And now, here's the key to phase two that's going to get you to phase three really fast. After you sell out your new program, you run it, and any time someone gets a win or say something great about what you've been doing with them, you have to screenshot it and you share it absolutely everywhere. Your community wall, your emails, in videos. You basically want to use your clients' examples and wins and stories in your content as examples to make your point. Like I did at the very start of this video. I lifted off 4 clients who'd had massive wins. 1, to inspire you, but 2, to show you my program gets results, right? Now, this is where the magic happens, because they'll be watching your videos and they'll go, oh, maybe I'll work with this person. And they'll click on the link below your video and they'll go to your sales page, press apply, and it will say sold out. Join the list to be notified as soon as space is open. They sell out fast. And the person will either say, I'm down, I want that, sounds good, or they'll leave. But what I love about this system is you now have one metric that drives your entire business, the waitlist size. And what you'll see is every single time you post a video, every time you send an email, this thing is going to jump up and it's going to inspire you to post content like never before. So if you do this over the course of a couple of months whilst your program's running, by the time it ends, you've got potentially hundreds of people waiting to join. So you send 1 to 3 emails to that waitlist, and you can make it 4 lines long. That's the most I've ever made from one email. It was 4 lines long. And you simply say, we're opening spaces. There's only 5 left. There's 250 people on the waitlist. Click here before they sell out. So the hype and the scarcity starts to do all of the selling for you. Now, I've been using this strategy for a while. What I love is when my clients start using it too, they can often go from struggling to sell cheap low ticket offers to selling things that are 5, 6 or 7,000 because of the power of scarcity. The thing is, so many people are like, I can't do that, Ed. It's fake scarcity, you scammer. But it's not. And this is what is so dumb about the online space. Everyone thinks they have this instantly scalable business. But if you try and cram too many people into your business before you are ready to look after them, you get a ton of complaints. You get refund requests. I heard someone the other day saying they only get 4% refund requests. That is so bad. And then they burn out and your boat sinks. But by saying you have a limit of people that you can work with, you are protecting your business, you are protecting your clients, because you will provide them a better service. This also then uses what everyone thinks is the disadvantage of this business model as its biggest advantage, because it creates scarcity and that creates urgency and exclusivity. And that is exactly what Rolex and Ferrari do. They're not sitting there going, how do we scale? They're going, how do we make more people want this, but less people have it? So they can put their prices up. Now, I would run this program 3 to 4 times until you start to find that managing 5 people feels like it's getting a bit easy and they're getting great results, which means the system's working and you're optimizing it. And that will happen because every time you do this, I guarantee you'll get better and better and better at it. And then we make the leap and we open the sales to the waitlist that might have hundreds of people on it. But now we say, we've got 10 spaces open. They're only $2,500. And so long as you did become a likable character, that will make you your first 25K month. But also keep in mind, you were 25 times oversubscribed. So if you like, you could turn around and say 20 people and then make 50K. And if you do 50K and you do this every 2 months, that's your 25K a month. Just don't sink your boat by cramming it before you're ready. You don't need to rush this. The better you make it, the bigger your payoff will be. And that brings us on to phase 3. This is where the goal changes, because what we don't want is 100K launches every couple of months. I know that sounds amazing, but it's not the goal of this video, right? What you want is 100K months on repeat. And this is where so many people just ruin the years of work they've put in because they just get obsessed with cramming in too many people on board. So here is how you create a super yacht that will get people queuing up outside using our success wheel. All right, so let's start with traffic. Honestly, If you've done a good job in phase 1 and 2, and you've been consistent and you've shown results and you've built your email list and you've become likable, you don't need 50,000 views a video. My target is like 10,000 views a video. And I know if I do that once a week, I can make millions every year. I also know that sending 1 email a week with that will get that result. And so I know at this stage, this is actually quite easy to make 100K a month. So let's assume your email list is like 10,000 people and your videos are getting 5 to 10,000 views and you've built your channel to attract buyers, not just random viewers. We should find that selling 20 spaces a month is easier. And what that means is traffic technically here becomes the least important part of our success wheel. So I'm not even going to touch on it. You can literally take 6 months off posting videos like I did a few years ago and still hit 6-figure months just emailing your list if you became a likable character. Now, the thing that will really limit you here are your offer, your conversion, and your results section of the wheel. So let's go deeper on how to fix them, starting with the offer. So up until now, you have been running your program live. So you have calls every week and you have chat support in between. And that worked launching every 8 weeks. But now we need to take what was live and build it into a proper on-demand program so people can join whenever, and then you can sell it out monthly. Now, in theory, you have a ton of call recordings from your live program that you've been doing, and you could piece them together to make the on-demand version. But to me, that's like patching together a leaky boat rather than trying to make a super yacht. So I personally recommend you just slow it down a bit and you rewrite that content so it's optimized for speed and what's known as cognitive load, basically how easy it is to understand. But I don't know if you know this, but you can explain something and someone can understand it, but if you keep explaining the same point after they've gotten it, you can make them ununderstand it. And that's often what happens with live workshop content. So to me, what that means is we really want to make our content easier and shorter, basically. So you can take the transcripts from those calls, you can turn it to a script, you can cut bits out, you can really optimize them. But I just really don't like this attitude a lot of people have where they're like, well, if they can't concentrate on a 3-hour workshop, how can they expect to get a result? It's your job at this stage to help and make this easier for people. And if you want to be earning millions, I think you owe that to your buyers. Then once your program is optimized, filmed, shot, we want to move on to the next part of our wheel, which is just insanely powerful. So let me show you what I mean. There's a little calculator I've built for you. So let's say January, you drive 5,000 people to your sales page and you convert 1% of them. Then in February, the same amount of people arrive at it, but you increase this to 2%. You make an extra $100,000 just from optimizing your sales page. So what you need to do at this stage is come up with a monthly ritual. And I get all my clients to do this because it's so flippin' important, where you track the performance of each stage of your funnel. So you need to know how many people hit the sales page, how many people joined the waitlist, how many people booked a call, how many people converted. Then if something dips, you fix it. Because you will find some months, you'll blow up a video and your waitlist will double, but your call conversions will half. And that's the nature of the beast on YouTube. Often growing a channel faster brings you worse lead flow. Now, if you're not doing this and you're making over 10K a month, you are really holding yourself back years. And then we move to our fourth part of the wheel where you have got to focus a lot on results. Now, most business owners will just completely screw this up here, or I believe they do anyway, where they're going to go, cool, I'm making loads of money now. I'm just going to step back and let my team run client delivery. Not talking to them. And then they just go and focus on piling more leads into their boat and sink the thing. Now, I know $100,000 a month is a lot of money, but having made the jump to hitting a few $500,000 months, I know that the lessons I learned, staying very hands-on with my clients and working hard to find their bottlenecks and to fix them with upgrades in the program, allowed me to then 3 to 4x the business as a result without sinking my boat. So I still think your main focus should be improving your offer, especially because once you hit 100K a month and that stabilizes, you're going to be thinking, how do I get to 300,000? Some of you are going to be thinking, how do I get to 1 million? And you need to know your buyer very well to do that. I haven't hit 1 million a month, by the way. And then it's just the same game as before. Get as many results as you can. Put them into your content. Get the wheel spinning so fast you create a ton of demand. But what about sales and the wait list right now? Do we just get rid of it and have sales open all the time? Well, yeah, you got some options. So you can do that. You can say no more wait list. We'll just have sales on. But what you need to do is cap the amount of people you let in every month and make that very public, because we don't want to overload your boat and it creates scarcity and urgency and will increase your conversions too. But really, what I would recommend you keep the waitlist system going. But now what you do is you open it once a month. So you do the same thing. You pump out videos, you send out emails, you drive them to your sales page, they discover, oh no, I can't join, it's sold out in 3 days last time. They jump on the waitlist because it sounds so good. You email the waitlist and it will sell out. And then the next month you just grow the waitlist again. When you do this, you have one number to focus on all month. It's amazing. How big is the waitlist? And what you will find is my business was almost the same every month. Let's say we got 500 people on the list. Half would book a call. We'd cancel half because they were the wrong fit. They weren't the right people for my boat. So we can't help them. We don't let them on. And then we convert half of them. And this was the same for 9 months in a row. This works so well. In fact, if you want to see exactly how other businesses are doing this, to add 20, 30, 50K to their income, watch this video next, and you're going to discover the exact system they use to do it.